Welcome to the Fossey Fans Sunday Show. First of all, we'll run through Leicester City's news over the weekend. So today it's come out for the dates for Leicester City versus Napoli. So that's going to be a home game. So great to start off the Europa League with a home game. That's at 8 o'clock. That's the 16th of September. That's a Thursday for all you Foxes fans as well. So obviously with the group, we've got Napoli, Spartak Moscow and Legia Warsaw. So quite a difficult group, really, especially when we've got to look at the start of the fact that we were joint favourites to win the Europa League. And now, obviously, we've got Napoli, Spartak Moscow. They're going to be the two biggest games. Legia Warsaw, again, away from home, are going to be definitely difficult to play. But I think with the depth that we've got in the team, again, I've spoke about this on the other podcast as well yesterday, that we've got more than enough depth to minimum get through the group, but I do think we've got a good enough team to win the group. Again, it's not a Napoli team of 4 or 5 years ago with the Champions League runs that they were going on. Obviously, to start off with the season, so we're in 9th place at the moment. We've played 3 games, we've won 2, and we've lost 1. It's not the worst start to a season. I think realistically, the points do us more justice than the actual performances. Let's be honest, West Ham. Okay, maybe that game was going to go a different way before the Perez red card. We looked quite in control, but there still wasn't any serious attack. There wasn't really any serious momentum from us. It was getting towards Maddison and stopping. It was getting towards Perez and stopping. So there wasn't that fluidity in the top 3/4 players in the 4-2-3-1. So I think we're obviously looking at getting a right winger at the moment. Obviously, it does need to be done. Perez just doesn't fit that role. Maddison needs to speed up his play. I don't want to be hypercritical of Maddison because he is a fantastic player. He's got bags of talent. I just don't think he's living up to what he should be. And I think he's slowing the whole game down for Leicester when we get into that attacking third. He just doesn't seem to be finding that incisive pass. But also, he seems to be so slow on the ball as well at the moment. So hopefully he speeds that up. But Wolves 1-0 at home. Let's be serious. I mean, dropping to a back 5 on 60 minutes is so frustrating. We've seen it at the back end of last season. I don't know how many of you guys have watched the games and he's gone defensive or he's gone back to a 5 at the back and you sat there thinking, we're 1-0 up or we're 2-1 up. The pressure's all over us. You can see that we're defending for our lives and then we'll go and concede a last minute equaliser or... it's just the whole stress of the game. I am a big believer that, the best form of defence is attack, but there's no need to drop back to a back 5 when you're playing at home against Wolves. It's just ridiculous. And again, if players can't defend against the Adama Traoré, there's not a lot of teams that can defend against the Adama Traoré. His final product's not fantastic, but if you play defensive, they're going to keep finding ways to him. If you start playing through the midfield and you start giving them something to think about, then they can't go all arms out and start playing these balls. So it's quite frustrated in that game, but again, good 1-0 win. Obviously, we spoke about the West Ham game. And then Norwich, let's be serious, we were fairly lucky to come away with a 2-1 win. Obviously, the offside goal that was... If it was offside, I know I've just watched Match of the Day and Daniel Farke's come out and said it was a mistake by VAR. It definitely wasn't a mistake. I mean, he was offside. He was in front of the keeper. He was interfering with play. However, even on target, even without him there, I don't think Schmeichel gets to that anyway. So... Again, we're pushing the luck. The performances haven't been great. The fluidity hasn't been there. Norwich are easily carved open. I'm not going to base our attacking prowess on a game against Norwich, especially, really their best player was Aarons and he was phenomenal. But through the centre, we probably should have done better. So that brings us quite swiftly on to the transfer news for this week. Speaking about attacking prowess, because we have been looking for a right winger. So the transfer news so far this week, Serie A club Torino have gone for a bid for Dennis Pratt. Obviously, we're aware that we can't go in bidding for people until we start to get rid now at the club. That's what Rodgers has come out and said this week. So realistically, I mean, Dennis Pratt's a fantastic player. I'm a big advocate of Dennis Pratt. But when you look at Dewsbury Hall, he's now coming into the squad. I would like to see him get a chance. He was awesome at Luton last season. James Maddison, all right, not quite up to speed, but he'll get there through the season. Samare, Tillemans, Wilfendida, Mende. So we've got depth in the midfield, I think, especially in that position. I think obviously, Tillemans can slot into the diamond in there if he needs to. But most of all, you're going to have Maddison and Dewsbury Hall playing there. Obviously, Wilf can swap directly for Mende. Samari, okay, maybe he's not the same player as Tillemans, but if you need to go for a different dynamic, two holding players, then he can fit in there. Strong lad, good at going forward as well. So I think we've got the depth to get rid of Pratt. It'd be a shame to see him go, but obviously, in the same respect, if that opens up the market to let us get a right winger, then, it's a sacrifice we have to make. Obviously, Hamza Chowdhury's looking at possibly going on loan. That'll free up the wage budget, so that'll obviously give us more flexibility in regards to the financial fair play market as well. So a little bit of news on who we've been looking at getting. So Cristiano Ronaldo has decided to go to Manchester United. So that was nearly, he could have ended up at City. But, no, I'm joking. Realistically, we've got Daniel James, who's, obviously that died down. But it looks now that with Ronaldo going to Manchester United, with them having Sancho, Greenwood, Martial all starting to play on the wings, that could free up Daniel James to come on loan to City. I can't see it being a permanent transfer. If it is, I think I'd take him. I don't know who you guys are looking at getting in or who you'd love to see at the club, but let us know on the fossyfootball@gmail.com or on the comments below. I'd love to have a chat and see what sort of City fans are thinking, what wingers you'd be looking at getting in. For me, Daniel James is a good player. He's young. Again, under Brendan Rodgers, that he'll get looked after. His skill will be harnessed. He'll be matured as a player. We all know what Rodgers has done with Harvey Barnes. So I think he'll definitely do well at City. One of the other ones is David Neres from Ajax. Again, good winger. We've seen him a couple of times in Europa League as well. He'd be a good signing. I think I'd rather take Daniel James over Neres, if I'm being totally honest. But some people will think otherwise. Again, give us your opinion in the comments below. And D'Amico Berardi from Sassuolo is also one that we've been linked with. Again, you would have seen him in the Euros playing for Italy. Fantastic player, bags of skill, a little bit older than the other two. But again, like I say, out of the three, I would like to go with Daniel James. He's got bags of potential. He's got bags of pace. I think that's what we lack in the final third at times as well, especially when the game slows down. Because once Vardy's marked up and Barnes is marked up, they know that we've got nowhere else to play. So it definitely would be good to have that sort of pace down the right-hand side as well. But we'll have to see. Like I say, we'll bring you a special on Tuesday. But up until then, get your comments in. Let us know who you'd like to get in. Let us know your thoughts, and let us know your thoughts on Daniel James as well, because that looks like that's going to be the transfer out of the three. Ricardo obviously looks like he's got a hamstring injury, so he's going to have a scan on that. That's coming straight from the horse's mouth from Brendan Rodgers after the game. Obviously, he doesn't know how serious it is. He does say even if it's not serious, he won't be travelling with the Portugal team as well. So it'd be good to see him back by the time the international break's over. Obviously, we've got Timo Castagna to fill in, but with Ricardo, obviously, he's coming back from that long-term injury. He is going to pick up hicks and jicks, right, here and there, but he looked right back to his best, so it's such a shame to see him out, and that is especially vital as to why we need a right winger to come in before the deadline on Tuesday. Either way, get your comments in, let us know, fossyfootball@gmail.com, or drop it in the comments below. Finally, we're going to finish up with Sunday scores.
They have to start winning games.
So the scores on the doors today: Burnley drew 1-1 with Leeds. Ex-Foxes man Chris Wood scored the first goal for Burnley. It was a fast pace. It was an old school football game, especially with these new reffing laws where they're allowed to let the game actually flow instead of blowing every 2 minutes. And to be honest with you, it was absolute testament to Michael Oliver. He was fantastic in the game. He let it flow. Really good game and a good point for both teams. The Nuno Espirito Santo era is still carrying on at Tottenham. Kane getting back into the first team there. They won 1-0 at home to Watford. But it was Son again, absolute superstar of a player. One of the best players in the whole of the Premier League. To be honest, borderline in the whole of the world. Absolutely phenomenal. And he got the goal there. Wolves lost 1-0 at home to Manchester United. Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't in the team, but the fans certainly had the atmosphere there for him. So that was a good win away for United. That brings them as record breakers for the most consecutive away wins in the Premier League. And finally, it's very rare I'll touch on Scotland. It's poor football. But they Rangers, Celtic, you can't get away from it. And Rangers won 1-0 at home to Celtic without Steven Gerrard there, who was away with COVID. So that's the scores on the doors. That's the main results from today. Like I say, thanks very much for listening. Please get in your comments. Please get in. We're going to start doing phone calls. So if you email us, we can arrange that. We can get you on the podcast and we can start getting a Foxes forum going. Apart from that, all the best. Have a great week. Tune in Tuesday for the Transfer Show.